videos that I put up. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, things that kind of contribute to that. I'll always rise, thinking about, starting over again from beginning to end. And even the technology part of it, the MIT videos, snake coil, and all these things that we use protection from the elements. Devil Wears Prada, Naked in the Garden of Eden, all that. That whole concept I explored. And then, just, I was looking at the Godzilla thing last night, and just this end of the world kind of thing. No, but Rise of the Planet of the Apes, well, a little bit beaten up, to be honest. That, there's big gorillas that were in the back seat of they snuck into our, safari vehicle. When I were on safari, I turned around, there was just twice the size of me just sitting there eating our lunch. And, yeah, that was terrifying. But just that whole from end to beginning kind of thing. And so then ape shit, because, makes sense with Mona Lisa. These pictures I was taken of the kittens, too. It was like posing for me. It was so cute. The background. That other video from before was Earth Elemental video. Very beginning, there's a two-part one. So I talk about the epigenetics research team I was getting involved in New York, and show a New York Times article that talks about it. And my background the whole thing kind of just gave me a Mona Lisa vibe, the way I was sitting. But it's all about, just realizing ways of art and, I don't know, just all kinds of things like that. And then there's just always been this sort of like divide, I don't know how to explain, but the Mullen, lyrics in that song, Call Me Girls with Mullen, a spaceship, connecting again back to the beginning of Self-Portrait of Yesterday. And beginning to end, I guess we'll know with that confirmation of, by just working out. I think that pretty much shows it for itself. It's pretty ingenious if you ask me. Secrets of Mona Lisa, Da Vinci Code, all of it having to do with my art practice. The recurring names. Throughout this whole 8-year plus residency. So, Da Vinci, if he was a woman, the ideal version of himself, he found her. He saw himself in her in some way. He spent the last 17 years of his life painting that, so it's been important. Yeah. So, again, coming full circle back to Apple. How I started all of this, my Super Bowl prediction on the top of the mountain in Arizona. Do you take the prediction or not? Because I saw a falcon fly overhead, which probably a falcon, but again, can't really be sure. I only identify it because I've done my Birds of a Feather illustration series. Spent a lot of time looking at birds. So, do you take the prediction or not with a little bit of extra information given, or it could be wrong information? The apple, do you eat the apple or not? Considering you know no better. So, all these themes of leaving Eden, leaving exile, all of it, about history and my family and what I've experienced myself. Just the feel of need to escape, to run for your life, or be hit by a car on your way out. My family that came over here from Switzerland, just exiled, imprisoned. Marie Antoinette leaving Versailles, another garden. Garden's a big theme, you know. It's kind of funny to look back on now, all these themes of doubles as well, and Six of Swords that popped up when I was watching, popped out of the deck when I was shuffling, watching something having to do with Jesus and whether or not, you know, theories on if he escaped or ran, had a child, Sophie. The Six of Swords comes up for that when they're talking about that. There's this papyrus, there's that, all that, these videos, old videos, many of them, just looking back on, even that FBI playlist, all these, I was just shuffled, and figured since everyone stole money from me, I would just to start making predictions with my, start making money with your tips, predictions, whatnot. But then they just reeled me in real time in order to get those, so they wouldn't have to pay, so that's fine. It really left me with no options. So here I am, drawing nature. Making Da Vinci's 2 lost years, I've not. Just like went into a forest. Self-taught, you know. I never had like any sort of art tutor or anything like that, but I used to art classes in school. And pre-college fashion courses at the Art Institute of Chicago. But, yeah, you know, like that movie, watching Parasite, yeah, should be an art therapist or art tutor or something like that. It was maybe they'd be okay with that. They weren't letting me order food until I said I haven't eaten all day. It's like some sort of system overlord. Not even kidding. Not even kidding. But SimCity, you know, simulation theory. Where's the exit? Anyone feel like telling me? Been in this shit since '92. So I guess, you know, that girl who drives by thinking that she's me or trying to save my life, I don't know. Intersection. Words. In the context, you know, obviously that I put them in. Before. Pre-decided. So it's, you know, or predetermined, so it's not like fixed or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's not going off of like, well, that works for me and that doesn't work for me. It's pretty accurate. But yeah. I guess that's just kind of, once again, all these things having to do with like people trying to cross out, you know, words in the Bible, censor. But if this is like threatening to religion, that it's not based on much shit. People can't hold their own in conversation that challenges their beliefs in any capacity, then why believe in that? I'm talking about Leonardo da Vinci and Da Vinci Code and Opus Dei. Pretty sure I saw a license plate somewhere around here. But reminded me of DEI Day. It is actually a Irish Catholic neighborhood. So it's kind of ironic that they're like, you have a drinking problem. Really? My one buzzball? I haven't even had this week. But in any case, can use it for good, you can use it for bad. I guess those kinds of just throw disperse, you know. The cats is my wartime strategy with their treats. Here, just throw little crumbs here and there and there. Chase them. Disperse. And not be united, I guess. I don't know. But that's pretty much what they did with my identity. Or going through my birth chart. Oh, this is what it means, and this is how it would work out. Oh, okay, let's do the opposite of that. So that was fun, considering no one ever asked people to do that. But in any case, yeah, I'm just having to go live now, seeing as everything's just stolen off my phone and whatever. I just don't know why progress should be hindered, especially anything potentially that I contribute towards if they can't, you know, if they need to steal from me in order to push that forward. I just don't see how anyone who lived different lives could have come to the same exact conclusions in the same exact way at the same exact time. And I think they agree with that. That's why they're trying to out me in my own life. Just be like, no, you're Miriam Parrish. But no, I'm not acting out biblical play. Someone named Miriam or Marion or whatever the fuck. And I don't know. I probably shouldn't be insulting the Catholic religion if I ever hope to go through the Vatican archives. But make translations. But that's the problem with Catholicism, is that you don't go straight to the source. All these iterations and whatnot that in different contexts might be okay. Iterations for print, you know, prints of a painting or whatnot. Everyone can own a piece. But you go to a priest for absolution, then you're not right with God, in theory. If you go through someone else, you talk to someone else, and they say you're fine and that it's okay with me. Well, no, you didn't work it out with me. You're not necessarily okay with me, depending on what your situation is, that kind of thing. No need for middleman is what I'm saying, basically, which I think is a very tricky thing to talk about because, I mean, what does all of these things have in common, from like Joan of Arc to Jesus and Marie Antoinette, all these people that were just sort of recurring themes in my art practice, enforced and whatnot. It just came up as like my favorite movie in like senior of college, and it came out around that time. It was Marie Antoinette and Factory Girl. We didn't have streaming anything, so I had like 2 VHSs that I just put on repeat, basically, on rotation when I was up late at night sewing. So all these things just like, no, it's not my exact life, but, you know, pulled it out of my, like, that's one of my favorite movies to reference and all. I was taking costume history at the time. I just gone to, Paris, abroad, like a mini Maymester, and we went to Versailles, and so it was just one of those things where everything kind of came together, and so it was born in my life, and I love that movie and the director. So all these things are just sort of like intrinsically entwined in a way, but not, you know, I didn't want to make it all just explicitly about me because, well, obvious reasons. But at the same time, like, you can't really, why would it be important to do? Just like I said in the other video, why would it be important to do any of these things if, why put a color down there versus there? Why make that line straight versus wiggly? Why make it strong or soft? What are you trying to communicate? Why put that video in that order? You do things for no reason, you're doing things for no purpose. Which I said by accident the other night. I'm trying to reference what's her name that's been identified as no reason. I said, for those of you with no purpose, no reason. And you just can't reason with people that don't have reason. That aren't reasonable. You know, and it's just like a waste of time. So when I've been speaking to people, when speaking about these kinds of things and discussing them, hopefully speaking to those that appreciate that if good, have a discussion about it, have things to say about it, things to add, their own perspective. But in any case, I just wanted to talk about that. A little connection of going beyond the surface and obvious. When you see Rise of the Planet of the Ape shit, and then Apple. Well, if you were only evaluating a playlist based on what was turned into a precursor of Chat GPT when I made this playlist, but entitled, or in wordplay, en route, or in the title. When I was picking videos just for their title, just for that playlist, I used them in other contexts, sometimes for other reasons, but in that specific playlist, it was just, they were based on basic words that I thought Shuffle might be able to string together and see if there's some further intelligence behind AI, even just what YouTube uses. If you ask questions, since it seemed to be uncannily responsive to me in some ways, so anyways, yeah, so if you're just going on something like that, you might find it insulting or think that I'm trying to be, but that definitely was not which I think overall is a great exercise in a sense of just reminding yourself to look past what isn't necessarily presented. To be able to find the connective thread. What's the connection between, well, even though it's obvious there in Rise of the Planet of the Ape and ape shit, but it was also that with the divine moment and been in the shit since '92. Eminem's song Rap God. Why be a king when you can be a god? Animal Kingdom. You switch places with God. I see what people did in a way. I mean, I was hypothesizing that someday, flying, dog, jumping into the pool. These early ways of thinking about things. Yeah. You can listen and see why it's in that playlist. I mean, that was just the point, to get people to think about something outside of their context, not just in a one-dimensional way of thinking, this is how it is, which is how they ruined my art practice. You mean this? Actually, no. I made this in hopes that present a new concept for consideration, or a new way of looking at a concept for consideration, amalgamation of ideas, but either way, if anything, for people to see outside their previous realizations or ways of considering and looking at a topic. So if you go into it thinking that you're going to tell me what then that's just kind of antithetical to what the whole point is. But basically, yeah, why be a king when you can be a god? I guess humans, again, would be considered that, I guess, or I don't know, it depends on how you look at it, but just all these theories that are in my head, trying to put into some sort of visual consideration. Presentation, see if it makes sense. What else I find? And then just, sometimes the timing works out. Find things that just never necessarily crossed your mind. But that was the point of the whole quantum entanglement thing. It's just picking each video for 5 aspects of my fifth house birth chart. But out of those, one to follow through, and anything else, kind of external factors that may make their own connections. Most likely they will, and that's how, a web codex is built. But the main connective factors are the reason for it all being pulled together into one timeline or playlist is the point. If you miss that, then it's just kind of well then, yeah, it could be anything, and people could believe in anything they want. Why even have a conversation? Why even ask them their opinion if you're just going to turn it around and change it? It's beauty in differences, I guess. But in any case, yeah, full circle, back to the word. And one's own identity. You know, when she was Aries, I guess no soon enough. You can see past those, just see how that connects, and he's just painting himself, self probably to some degree. I mean, even if it's just the way that you're painting or drawing.